Golden Globes has announced that they have added a bunch of new voting members, and they've finally included some diversity in that voting group. Now, for a long time, I have let the world know that the Golden Globes is as useless as my father would say, tits on a bowl. There was just no purpose for it other than the fact that they put on a great award show. I mean, I'm the biggest attractor in the world of the Golden Globes, but even I gotta say, they put on a good show, even though the awards themselves are not worth the paper they are printed on. Now, one of the big reasons that I always said the Golden Globes were kind of meaningless is exactly who votes on it. Like with the Academy Awards, the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences, 7,000 to 8,000 writers, directors, producers, musicians, craftspeople, like people working in the people who make movies. 7,000 to 8,000 of them are the ones who vote on the movie awards. That's what makes it the most legitimate and the most valuable awards there is in film. Who voted on the Golden Globes? Well, for a long time, it was 60 people who were reporters for outlets that had offices in Los Angeles, but their outlets were based in other countries. That's the Hollywood Foreign Press. I actually qualified. I was notified that I qualified to join the Hollywood Foreign Press a number of years ago. I took a pass. Not that I would have gotten in even if I went through the application process at any rate. So they've been trying, and then it came out like a whole bunch of problems. We won't go over the whole laundry list. You guys remember them. The whole bunch of laundry lists of all the problems in the Hollywood Foreign Press that ultimately led Tom Cruise to take all of his Golden Globes, put them in a box, put some tape on the box, and shipped it back to the Golden Globes and said, don't want them anymore. But one of the things that was interesting that came out, that I think it was at the time that they had about 70 something members, and they're very secretive about their membership, came out that they didn't have like one black person in their entire group. Now, look, if you're a group of 5, yeah, okay, 5 people. Like you don't have somebody from a certain ethnicity background. All right, that's fine. Once you get 10 people, you're like,
listen,
really?
If the Planeteers could do it, you can too.
The Planeteers could do it.
Okay, that's a truly foreign associated group. All right.
Once you get 20 people and like no diversity, and then 30 people, by the time you get to 40, I'm starting to wonder if this is on purpose. And then you get to 50 people and 60 people and 70 people. Now it's just, look, dude, this is a mathematical impossibility. You are purposefully keeping people out. So the big development, of course, happened a little while ago when the Hollywood Foreign Press and the Golden Globes got a new owner. Dick Clark Productions, I believe, is the new owner that came in, and they promised sweeping changes to make the Golden Globes relevant again. Well, they've taken a good first step. This comes to us from Variety that says this. The Golden Globes has added new members, bringing its voting total body to 300 people, which is better. That's better. And 60% diversity, the organization announced on Monday. Our commitment to maintaining the diversity of our voting body continues, said Helen Honey, president of the Golden Globes, in a statement. Our voters represent 76 countries, bringing a unique international perspective on nominating the best in motion pictures and television this year. All right. Look, as the guy who has been the biggest vocal opponent of anything regarding the Golden Globes and what a pile of useless garbage they are, I have to concede and give credit where credit is due. These are good first steps. Number 1, expand the voting body. Because here's the problem. When you get a voting body in the Academy Awards, it's like 6, 7, 8,000 people. It's very, very difficult to undermine the process, right? But with the Golden Globes, when they had like 65 members, all you had to do was fly like 20 people out for a week's vacation in Paris and give them all like $5,000 bracelets, just 10 people, or 20 people. That represents 33% of the voting body of the Golden Globes. You can buy whatever award you want. With the Academy, with a voting base of 7,000 or 8,000 people, that becomes impractical. It becomes a lot more difficult. So you insulate the integrity of the awards with a larger base voting body. I also do like that the fact that they've say, okay, we're not just a whites only club anymore. That's because if you're supposed to represent the global, the foreign press, whatever. So look, I'm not sitting here telling you that the Golden Globes are suddenly on my map, but under new ownership, I got to give credit. I think they're taking the right steps right now to make this a more legitimate award thing. Now they just got to get of their fucking idiotic best blockbuster award that they're going to introduce this year, which is pathetic, by the way. Golden Globes, you're pathetic. Drop that
Jonathan.
right away, and you might be on the right steps.
Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Vessi. Now, like me, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of Vessi, the shoe that claims to be incredibly comfortable and waterproof on top of that. Well, these claims are really interesting to me because as a Canadian who walked around in a lot of snow, and as somebody who likes to go camping and hiking with his wife on the weekends, there's nothing more uncomfortable and horrible than walking around in wet feet. So after receiving my first pair of Vessis and noticing how incredibly good looking the shoes are and how mind-boggling comfortable and flexible they are, the first thing I did was I took them into the backyard to put it to the supreme waterproof test and dipped my feet in my pool. Guys, my feet were bone dry, and like 20 seconds after having them in the pool and I touched them, the shoes themselves were also bone dry. Guys, seriously, these shoes are stupidly comfortable, they look great, and they absolutely lived up to the claim of being waterproof and keeping my feet dry. I absolutely love my Vessi shoes. So guys, if you want shoes that are good looking, are ridiculously comfortable, and on top of all that waterproof, you need to head to vessi.com/Campea and get yourselves a pair today. Go to vessi.com/Campea and get shoes for your best summer yet.
Anyway, Chris,
Not pathetic, buddy. It's okay.
you read this stuff in Variety. What do you make of it?
I think this is a great first step with this new ownership. Dick Clark Productions is moving forward, which is great because, yeah, with the Hollywood Foreign Associated Press, it can't just all be U.S.-based people who historically have been white and male, right? We need to diversify just because there's so many different types of storytellings out there. Just because we need to have all kinds of voices represented if it is truly going to be a global platform. So this new group, we've got 11 new members from Switzerland, Italy, Canada, Armenia, France, Egypt, Spain, the UK. They've diversified tremendously where we've got now 47% of the voting body is female. 13% is Latinx, or excuse me, 26% is Latinx, 13% is Asian, 11% is Black, 9% Middle Eastern. We've got people now from Cameroon, Costa Rica, Cuba, Guatemala, all kinds of stuff. This is fantastic. And the reason why this is important, and I know people are already going to bitch and moan in the comments, there's a certain type of person who will do this of like, well, what does diversity have to play into this? Shouldn't it only be qualified people? Yes, it should only be qualified people, but that doesn't mean there's only one type of person who's qualified.
More importantly than that, again, once you get to 70, 80, 90, 100 members,
When you're 300 members,
you are purposefully excluding some of those most qualified people simply because they weren't white. Like I'm sorry, but that's what it is. It's fine for 5 people, 10 people, okay, math, whatever. But once you get to 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 120, 140 people, and you got nobody that looks different, you are purposefully excluding some who would be more than qualified to be in there. And that's something that fortunately looks like Dick Clark Productions.
Put it on a personal level. If you walked into a room and there were 300 people in there and they were all white males, or white, you'd be like, man, there's a lot of white people in here. Like, not even like Asian.
Well, which is just
Black,
weird when you live in a place
Hispanic,
like LA too, where you're like, how did this happen?
How did this happen? Like, mathematically, someone should have got off like the bus and gotten over here and with everyone else. And nope.
Yeah. And that's not to discount the value of those other members who are Americans or who are male or who are white.
Of course not, yeah.
They have great opinions and we're really glad that they're in there too. We just want everyone chiming in about how these votes happen because that's what makes the best storytelling is when we have diversified stories in the first place. If we all have the exact same perspective on things, it doesn't help expand our viewpoint. One of my favorite things we've talked about on this show is how Turning Red was such a wonderful film that all of us connected to.
Yeah.
Every single one of us in here found ways to connect to that movie. And that's not necessarily any of our story. right? But when you hear other stories from other people and you go, oh my gosh, I feel so connected to that. That is so relatable. That's what makes us all feel more connected as a global audience. That's where we get to find all those beautiful commonalities. And that's when film really thrives. Same with television, where we go, oh my gosh, isn't it beautiful that this medium can bring us together in such a tremendous way, no matter what walk of life we've taken.
You know, there are going to be some people, like you were pointing out, Chris, that are going to say, why does Dick Clark Productions have to force the Golden Globes to adopt a philosophy of inclusion? I'm telling you, that's not what they're doing. What Dick Clark Productions is doing is forcing the Golden Globes to get rid of their philosophy of exclusion.
Yes.
It's not forcing them to adopt a philosophy of inclusion. It's forcing them to say, hey, that agenda you've got of exclusion, you got to get rid of that agenda. You got to just get rid of it. Get rid of that bullshit. You got to be open to the best people who are going to represent the global audience. So stop it. And that's what they're doing, and I think it's the right thing for them to do. Now they just got to get rid of that idiotic Blockbuster award. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.